Welcome to the Fully Restored podcast. Christians often struggle to talk about areas of deep hurt like trauma or abuse, shame, or betrayal. These are deep soul wounds. Friend, Christ came to not only heal us from our sin, but from our soul wounds as well. My name is Kristin Clouse, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and author. And my guest and I are here to walk with you on your healing journey. We see you and hear you. Friend, if you hang with me, apply these truths to your life, you will be on your own path to a fully restored story. Grab your coffee, tea, or favorite drink, and let's get started. Hi, friends. I am so grateful you're here with us today for the Fully Restored podcast. Before we jump into my interview with today's guest, I wanted to let you know that today's topic of discussion is a difficult one and a topic that is best listened to away from children's ears. These interviews in this series are powerful, transparent, and real, but also give so much hope for someone who's been abused. Please be mindful of your own triggers and know we are discussing these things to bring them to the light of Jesus and to help women find their own healing and hope. Thanks, friends. And now to my interview. Hey, friends, welcome to the Fully Restored podcast. Can I just say how grateful, blessed, and honored I am to be doing life with you, to be a part of the journey you are on for your healing and restoration. To me, walking with someone into a place of healing is like running a marathon. I kid you not. Probably that's why I'm a licensed counselor, right? I just absolutely love that. I also have a story, and I wanted to share a little bit with you about me, about Kristin. To start off, my husband and I have been married for 31 years, and we recently had our anniversary. We have 2 adult children who have married the loves of their life and 3 beautiful granddaughters with an ever-expanding and growing family that blesses this grandma immensely. They are my top-notch. They are priority to me, and I love my kids and grandkids. And we have stepped into a season when pretty much all of our vacations are all about going and visiting them. They truly make my heart happy, and there is nothing that makes me more joyful than playing with my granddaughters and being with my family. We are transplants. We recently moved to Kentucky. Yes, I am now a Kentucky girl. We lived in Washington State, but are originally from California. We moved in the middle of the pandemic, actually at the very beginning of the pandemic, and that in itself was quite an adventure for sure. We took some time off just to rest and to be together, and then the rest of the pandemic time we spent in our beautiful big old house. It's an American 4-square home built in 1910, and we have spent that time remodeling it room from room. Oh, and by the way, I'm married to my contractor, so that makes us a really great team. I pick the colors, styles, and he does the amazing, beautiful work and brings to life the vision we both see for our home. Our friends kind of joke around with us that we're the Kentucky version of Chip and Joanne. I'm not so sure of that, but we have been having a blast in this season together remodeling this home. It is truly a dream home of ours. Have always wanted a porch, a wraparound porch, and that's what God blessed us with among the many rooms that we have here. I will have to post some pictures on my website for all of you to see the amazing transformation this old house has gone through, and truly my husband is gifted as a general contractor. I am a Jesus girl. I love God with all of my heart. I know that complete healing and restoration in our lives comes through Jesus. I'm a licensed professional counselor, life coach with an emphasis on trauma, spiritual growth, and life issues, and I'm a pastor. I'm a published author. My book, Healing for Our Soul Gardens, Restoration and Wholeness After Sexual Abuse, is a combination of my personal story and professional experience combined to create a book to walk women through healing from abuse. Although the book says sexual abuse, really I've had had women that have experienced other types of abuse that have gone through this book and have gleaned immensely from it. I'm also a contributing author to the recently released book she writes for him, Stories of Resilient Faith. That book is powerful and packed with amazing stories from different women. Both of these books can be found on my website. What I'm passionate about is seeing people healed and restored from life difficulties. I truly believe that it is my life call on this earth to help others not only find their healing, but to move forward in their lives into the fullness of who God created them to be, whether it's through counseling, writing, speaking, mentoring, and relationships. I thrive and love to see people find their healing and get to a place where their past no longer dictates their present and their future. I always say, I'm not content to just be a pinky of who God created me to be. I want to walk in the fullness. And so that means I've got to walk that journey of healing and step out in faith into new beginnings. And yes, I am telling you, sometimes those new beginnings scare me just like they do you. And it can feel at times like I've jumped out of a plane and I'm singing, free falling as I'm plunging to the earth. But the truth is, because of my past issues, because of difficult life experiences, the fear and abuse that I've experienced, I could miss out on all God has for me if I let them. And the beautiful thing is, God is with me and you when He leads us to new beginnings and new adventures. I became a counselor, really because of my past history of trauma and abuse growing up. I didn't get the help that I needed. When I was in grade school, I was sexually abused. And when I was 14 years old, I went out with some friends and it turned into my worst nightmare when I was held against my will and raped throughout the night. On the other side of that, I found my voice and I stood up for myself and I told, which led to his arrest. I wish it was that easy and I could just tie that story up with a bow, but it was a hard, difficult road and many didn't believe me. My name got out, but somehow, even before I knew God personally, I found strength to stand up to the person who did this to me. The battle was hard, and sadly, that battle propelled me into a life of drugs and alcohol. When I was a teenager, there wasn't a lot of resources, wisdom, and knowledge to how to help sexual abuse survivors. I would talk to my friends, but really it was just too much for them, and they didn't want me to talk to them about it. I know now that finding a safe person to talk to is vital to our healing from all types of abuse and trauma because it helps us process through what we experienced. But the teenager me locked all that pain, memories, and hurt inside of my heart, barricaded it up, and tried to ignore what was the real issue within me. I was always a straight-A student. In fact, school was my safe place. I went to failing all but 2 of my classes my entire sophomore year. I have to give a shout out to school counselors. My school counselor was the only one who reached out to me to help. He knew I was a smart kid, and although he didn't have the training to help me process with the abuse I experienced, he was on my side. And it was because of him I didn't drop out of school. I can remember time after time after time, I would be in his office. I would be crying, overwhelmed, hurting, confused, and he gave me a safe place to talk. And I think he's really one of the reasons I became a counselor because he saw past the bad, unhealthy choices I was making to the hurting teen girl who didn't know how to deal with the trauma of what happened to her. He helped me have trust in humanity once again, that there are some good people out there who care about you and that there is hope. Because of that, of me experiencing my own struggles as a teen and knowing personally that there was a deeper issue than the wrong choices I was making, I developed compassion and empathy for those who struggle as well. We can look at teenagers, young adults, individuals that are struggling with their life and never focus on the underneath issue. And often we make judgment calls. I've learned there's almost always something under the action that led them to what they're doing. For those experiences, I learned that I am able to sit with others and hear their stories. For some, that's going to trigger them. But for me, God turned around what the enemy meant to destroy me with. And let me say, He almost did. God is using it for me to help others, to be the hand to help them out of their pit, to create an environment where they feel that they can come and talk and share, and to encourage them to find their voice once again, to give them tools so they and others can walk out into their healing and restoration. It's always been on my heart to create an environment, to create a place where people feel safe to talk about those difficult things. And that's what I've done through my counseling and the ministry work that I've done. And now I'm expanding that to this podcast. I have a heart and passion to equip others in the church, which is the body of Christ, me and you, to not struggle with talking about or addressing difficult topics, but to become that place where people go to find their healing. Now, some will say, but that's what the church does now. And in part, I agree with you. Remember, I'm a pastor. But I also know there are topics that leaderships in church aren't equipped to help with. I want to see that changed. So I see this podcast as a combination of me, the counselor, and the pastor, and the friend, and the mentor, survivor, overcomer, intercessor, coach, and victorious warrior for Jesus, coming alongside you, my friend. And with the help of my guests, we are creating a place where we can talk about the life difficulties, traumas, abuse, and more that we experience in our lives. On this show, we will have those conversations where we talk about those taboo topics the church may struggle with. I pray you will find hope once again to see there is life on the other side of abuse, trauma, and life difficulties. New life is possible. Redemption is here for you, and you can find freedom from your past experiences. We're going to talk about abuse, trauma, anxiety, depression, domestic violence, difficulties in family relationships, mental illness, and so much more. My heart and passion, as I've mentioned, is to create that safe environment where we will talk about those areas. We're going to give you tools and keys that have helped us on our journey of restoration. We will share what has helped us to become an overcomer, and I pray there will be tools along the way that will help you in your healing journey as well. I'm excited about where we're going to go from here, and I am grateful that you are a part of this community. One last thought. When I was at school getting my master's in counseling psychology, one of my professors shared an analogy with us that has stuck with me. One thing that you're going to find out about me is I'm an analogy girl. I love using storytelling illustrations to help understand things. And that's why I think this stuck with me. So he shared that my job as a counselor is not to fix people. What? I thought it was. Seriously, I always thought that that's what our job was to do, was to fix people. And as a leader in the church, as someone who has mentored others, as a pastor, I've always carried that weight that fixing people was part of my job. My professor went on to say that the view people's lives like a river, and that they are a raft going down the river, and the river represents the span of their life. Sometimes on their journey, they get stuck on the side in the bushes. And the job of a counselor, the job of a pastor, the job of a mentor, we can expand that, right? Our job is to shake the bush so that they get unstuck and move forward and move on with their lives. See, I'm not the expert of your life, friend. You are the expert of your life. But I am here to help you get unstuck. And that's what my prayer is for this podcast. Friends, me and my guests are here to help you find your voice once again, to give you those tools and resources to live a healthy and prosperous life. I'm looking forward to building relationship with you. I would love to hear from you. So be sure to join my community through my email list, which you can sign up on my website at fullyrestored.love, or on Facebook and Instagram, you can find me at author Kristin Clouse. I would so appreciate you sharing this podcast with your friends as well. This is the best way to grow our community and get the word out. I am forever grateful that you are here listening to me, part of this community. And I pray that the Fully Restored podcast would bless you beyond what I could ever imagine, and that I will hear from you as you are going forth on your fully restored journey as well. I look forward to hearing from you, whether it's through email or on our social medias. And remember, friends, nothing or no one is beyond restoration with Jesus.